In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create talking head style content like this so that by the end of this video, you can get started on your content creation journey, whether it's just to express yourself and have a fun hobby to do, to even being able to work with brands and turn this into a full-time career, or even if you're a videographer, at least be able to walk away with foundational knowledge to be able to do this and charge a client and do this for them. Even if you're a marketing person, at least have the foundational knowledge and knowing how to create content for whatever it is that you desire to accomplish down the line. Now, for me growing up, I always knew I wanted to be in the content space, but there was so many ups and downs with trying to figure out what camera to use and what I should edit on and what I should use for music and how to structure my videos and this, that, the other. So I am taking all of the things that I've learned in building brands, followings, and working in marketing and essentially distilling them down to a video like this that is foundational and also is highly applicative to today's day and age of content creation, where you can essentially just pop up an iPhone, talk to the camera, and by the next 3 months, staying consistent, you'll be able to make some form of money. And I've taken this knowledge from my own experience, like I've said, making it the easiest way possible because I truly believe in the law of least resistance, as well as my friends who are and have been able to turn this into a full-time career working with some of the best brands, and all of that by staying consistent. Now look, there are obviously so many different types of content styles that you can create, such as short form or brand advertisements and whatever and whatnot. However, for the sake of this video, like I said, we're gonna be talking about talking head style content like this because it's the most versatile and I think overall the foundational piece that allows you to learn the concepts of content creation as well as learning how to monetize and turn it into some form of side hustle or a living. So in order to create content like this and make it as aesthetically pleasing as well as educational and inspirational, I highly recommend having a 3-point lighting setup like the one that I have right now. And this is going to be the easiest one that you can do with household items that you already have, to even leveling up your production to expensive equipment and state-of-the-art gear and gadgets, right? But for the sake of simplicity, let's get started on what a 3-point lighting setup is. Essentially, how you are going to elevate your frame, whatever is in the picture, by focusing and really highlighting the subject, separating from the background, and making sure all features are shining, having one form of light to create some shadows, but having another form of light to not make it anything too crazy or dark and have it be natural looking, yet still aesthetically pleasing, and having some form of light in the background to separate you from this. Now, lighting can obviously be fairly expensive, and if you're just starting out, this is something that's a hobby, you don't even know what you want to do, my honest recommendation is using a natural light source like a big window that I have right here, depending on where you are shooting, and using that window, that natural light source, as a set, quote unquote. Now, obviously there are downsides to this, such as you don't have the control, right? Let's say there's a cloud, let's say a fucking plane flies by, something like that, that's gonna mess up your shots depending on the type of days and everything like that. But if you're just starting out, it's the best thing that you can do for yourself without having and making a big investment in light and learning how to use that and kelvins. And like I said, it is the best source to use when you are just starting out, making your first 5 to 10 videos, because it's free, you can make them during the daytime. Now, if you are a little bit more advanced and you're looking to take your video to the next level, or you are just ready to drop some money in and you want a little bit more control and you're working with clients, or you're shooting in a darker environment with no natural light, now I'm going to put up 3 recommendations ranging in price and ease that you can use, such as having a small ring light that you can find on Amazon, to having a medium tier price light panel, which is the one that I use sometimes in some of my videos, to even having a huge light box with diffuser sets from brands like Newer. So I'll also link them in the description below, so feel free to check that out. And with this main light, you want to have it at a 45-degree angle from your face so that it's shining and creating some form of shadows and contrast on this other side of your face. And to combat that, right, so that you can see both sides of the face, we're going to have a second light, which is going to be our reflective light source. Now, again, on the simplest of levels, right, literally using something that's just going to reflect the light that you have bouncing in from your main light source onto your face so that it doesn't create harsh shadows and you don't look like a two-face. Now, back in the struggle days when I was first creating content and learning this shit and didn't want to invest too much in, I would literally use a ring light, right, as my main source and have my white college binder to be able to reflect that off. And as I started to make some money doing videography and helping brands, I then bought a reflector. Now, this light isn't that important because you can get away with it depending on your main light source and your environment and everything. But having a simple reflector is going to be useful for you, especially one that has different tones and colors on it, like the one here on the screen, to be able to kind of match the light that you're reflecting off. Now, if you do want a little bit more control over this aspect, you can purchase one of the light sources that I mentioned in the beginning of this section, right? And just dim it down to its lowest setting so that it's causing some light, but you're not being blasted like a stadium. The last light source that we want to have is some type of backlight that creates separation from your subject and the background, the subject being you, whether it's a client that you're shooting for. And like I said, the simplest form, this video is all about simplicity here. The simplest form is to just have some type of lamp or something that you have in the background and keep it there so that it can kind of cast a light along your silhouette, separating you and just creating that space. And like I said, if you really do want to step it up and it's a shoot professional, whatever it may be, and you want to be able to have some more control to either emphasize a point, create a emotion, you can just purchase one of the lights that I had mentioned in the beginning and be able to cast that right on the back shoulder, complementary to where the main light is, to be able to create that separation. Now that you know how to light the scene, arguably the most important part, right? How do we capture the content? Now, this is where a camera or a recording device like your iPhone comes in. But first, the reason I started this video off talking about lighting techniques and everything is because it does not matter what type of camera you use if you do not know how to set a scene, if you don't know how to understand lighting. And because it doesn't matter if you go get one of these $10,000 red cameras, but you don't know how to light a scene and you don't know how to use it, your content is going to come out looking like shit. Whereas somebody else who actually knows how to use lighting, create scenes and sets and whatnot, can use an iPhone like this and create cinema level, Netflix level product. And so that's why I started that section off, because at the end of the day, what you shoot with does not matter. I'm obviously going to give you some recommendations based on skill level and utility and pricing, but to start off here, the freest and the easiest thing that you can use is an iPhone, as well as a tripod. I recommend using one from Ulanzi, and I'll link in the description because it's both versatile, that you can use it for your iPhone, and as soon as you upgrade to a camera such as a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, that you can use the same tripod as well, and it's fairly sturdy. You don't have to worry about your equipment getting messed up, and you can also then use it for lighting down the line. If you need to have a light panel or something up, it's super versatile. I recommend getting that tripod, probably the best beginner level tripod in the game, and it takes up very minimal space. But as far as camera equipment goes, the first camera I recommend is having an iPhone. Now, the second camera that I recommend that you can use is something that's super simple, like a point and shoot. However, I had my experience first starting out with a Sony ZV-1 and I absolutely hated the battery life on it. Is terrible. The controls and switches and everything, it has a lot of potential, but it just was not useful. It's like the Tesla Cybertrucks. Like, it sounds really good and it can do a bunch of things and it's supposed to be revolutionary, but it just was not good. And so the camera that I use right now is a DJI Osmo Pocket 4, and this is the camera that I highly recommend for these types of video if you are a beginner, because it literally have no excuse to post. All you do is flip the screen, the shit is ready, it sets itself up automatically. You have a lot of still control for what you can do and create on it. And because it has a built-in gimbal, you're able to access so many unique angles for overhead shots or spin shots or whatever it may be. If you want to go out there and capture B-roll, I think it's the best option, and everything is built in and it actually does the best job that it can do compared to having a point and shoot or a DSLR and a gimbal and walking around with all these crazy expensive setups that just sometimes make you not want to film at all. The last camera that I recommend that's super versatile if you have the money to invest in and you do want to buy the lenses and you are very into videography, photography, and content capturing, and you also want to invest in something that you can go out there and shoot and learn a very valuable skill, then I recommend the Sony a7 IV because of the flip screen option that it has, where you're able to see yourself and you don't need to consistently go back and check if you're in frame, if you're recording yourself, right? Having something like that along with a standard lens that's high quality, that shoots wide and narrow, where you're able to film yourself at a lower aperture and create that separation from the background. And that's something I used to do back in the day. Or a cheaper version of that would be the Sony a6400. That was the first camera ever that I had purchased, and I had definitely made a lot of content on that. So I highly recommend those three cameras, depending on your skill level, your budget, and just what you really want to do and use it for. And lastly, you want to be able to capture good audio. Now, there are many microphones, and I'm still learning this today about what type of microphones you can use, which ones are going to be good, which ones are not. I haven't had too much of a use or need to really invest in it yet, but if you do want to take your audio game to the next level and you do want to learn how to use audio and understand that aspect of it, I highly recommend getting two types of microphones. One is going to be a wireless lav mic like the DJI one that I have right here, or the Rode wireless lav mics. Highly recommend getting those ones since they have options that are Bluetooth, especially with my DJI camera right here. I don't need to plug anything in. It just connects automatically and I'm able to shoot. Or if you have a Rode one, being able to connect the transmitter to your audio port on your camera or your phone and being able to connect those two make a big difference. The second microphone that I recommend is getting a Rode VideoMic shotgun microphone. This is going to be something that you can just stick on top of the camera. It's going to be pointing at your subject, and obviously it will detect some room noises. However, it's something that is fairly versatile, and you don't see it in the frame in and of itself because it's going to be on top and it's going to be picking up the audio that you are sending into it. You can choose between either or, but just having crisp audio is going to take your videos to the next level. Now that you've set the scene, you've hit record, you've grabbed the raw content with great sound. Now, how do we put this all together? This is where your editing software is going to come into play. Now, I've used a plethora of editing softwares for multiple reasons, from such as school projects when I was just starting out using iMovie, actually using industry standard level software such as Adobe Premiere and Final Cut Pro for shoots and brands and work and clients, and now being able to use simple stuff like CapCut that I have the knowledge in and that I use for short form content like TikToks, or even being able to edit YouTube videos like this with ease and impact. And the reason I love CapCut is because it's super simple. You don't need to learn a bunch right away like you need to for Adobe Premiere Pro, but it also gives you a lot of room and flexibility to do the things that you really want to do, such as adding good effects, transitions, being able to color grade, being able to add subtitles and music and all these different things, right? It's not the best, like quote unquote, you're not going to go out there and make a Netflix movie right away. However, it is a lot better than iMovie, and it does give you a lot of room to do dope things, especially when you're first starting out. I think it's the best option, and it's also completely free, and it's only $9 a month if you want to pay for auto captions and a lot of these different effects that it may have, which I think is pretty worth it. So beginner level free, I recommend either using CapCut, and then down the line I recommend using Adobe Premiere Pro and overall getting the Adobe Creative Cloud Suite, as that's also going to allow you to work across platforms and create thumbnails, or if you want to do custom visual effects, that's going to give you a lot more options. Now, as you're editing and you want to take your videos to the next level, some bonus tips and tricks that I recommend is having some good background music, having some good sound effects, and also being mindful of shooting B-roll, or at least adding B-roll into your videos to demonstrate points and effects. Just keep things a little bit interesting and not bland, and just have some type of effects on the screen to keep the viewer entertained, but obviously not straying too far from the main point of whatever it is that you are trying to make. Okay, now that you know how to shoot, edit, and post, right? you may be asking yourself, well, what am I supposed to shoot, right? What are these ideas? And honestly, this is the aspect that I think is most important, is ideation. And essentially what I want you to start doing, depending on what type of content you're creating and the reason, is to start talking about your interests or relatable aspects that your audience can relate to and you can build a relationship with and also give value to specifically, in hopes to either educate, inspire, or entertain your audience. And the simplest way to do this is to really tap into what you have interest and authority to talk about in. And if you are looking to learn more of this, I recommend going to Dan Koh's channel and watching a lot of his earlier videos, as those will break down some of the psychology that goes into capturing attention, garnering attention, and being able to convert it. And this is what then transitions into being able to monetize your audience. Like I said, I've had friends who have turned this into careers. I've been able to do this as well with a small personal brand, selling items and services online. And essentially what you want to do is to build a catalog by talking about things, capturing attention, holding space, right, and nurturing that attention, and then being able to convert it, whether it's referring them to go purchase something from a brand that you may be an affiliate of, obviously with a company and hopefully a brand that you actually enjoy using, so that you don't look like one of these sales people. You're just being a friend and you're recommending something and having the best of both worlds by being able to talk about something that you already use and get paid to do so, or being able to convert that attention into whatever it is that you are selling, whether it's a coaching, whether it's a digital product, whether it's a planner, whether it's a book, the way Mark Manson and Lewis Howes and all these other content creators do. But essentially, you want to learn how to capture, you want to learn how to nurture, and you want to learn how to convert. Now, each of these could be its own video, so I won't get into it right now, but essentially right now you have the basics that it takes to hop in front of the camera, create something, and post it. And over time, you'll learn, and the opportunities will also come up in ways that you haven't even thought of when it comes to creating content and monetizing it as well. With that being said, you have all the knowledge that you need to go out there and create videos. I highly encourage you to put it out there. It's going to change your life in ways that you don't even know. Even something as small as posting a TikTok, which really changed the trajectory of my life and helped me out a lot in my life in all aspects of it. I'm very grateful that I'm able to help you do the same, and I'm so excited to see what you're able to accomplish. So if this video helps, drop a like. Let me know if I missed anything in the comments or what it is specifically that you may need some more clarification on. As always, feel free to shoot me a DM on Instagram @NazoHayat and hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one.